Span of control. Span of control represents the numerical limit of subordinates. Now this is a principle that is being used in organizations. The number of people who report to one given person, or the number of people a manager or a person in a managing position can control. Say for example, if I'm a production manager, I have a certain number of people who report to me. I do not have all the people in the department reporting to me, or I do not control all the people directly. That is what this talks about. Imagine if I was a production manager and there were 100 people in that particular production department. Could I actually be controlling the 100 people? No. What is it I do? I have assistant managers, I have quality managers, I have different managers who report to me, and they in turn have supervisors below them who have their own teams in the production units. So each particular unit within a production team. So usually it's about 10 or 12. It's between this number that is considered as a right span of control, the maximum. But you could have 5 or 6 or even 2 or 3, but the maximum is considered to be around the 10-12 range. Now what are the things that affect the span of control? So what are the factors that actually impact the number of people that you are going to control? If you are in a job where you have people below you doing similar jobs, then it becomes far more easier than it would be for you to control people who are not of similar types. And that is something that you have to consider. And then it could be also ability of the executive. Some people are very good at people relationships, some people are good at convincing and influencing people. So the ability of the executive is something that is important. Time available, important factor. Now a manager has his own core duties as a manager, as well as being an interpersonal person, or a person who has to fulfill the interpersonal role of a manager. So time is an important part. If he's available or she's available, if she travels, then maybe time could be an important factor. Nature of work, which I talked about, if it's going to be the similar one, it's going to be easy. Then you have capacity of subordinates, so how well your subordinates are. Now they say for a leader or for a manager, he's only as good as his subordinates. So the stronger the subordinates are, the greater capacity he has to manage them. Effectiveness of communication, control devices, another thing. Then geographic proximity as well. So if a person is physically close to the manager, then he or she feels it's far more easier to control or to delegate or to have some sort of authority over them. That is another important factor for determining the span of control. Departmentalization. What do you mean by departmentalization? Now, have you heard of the purchase department, the sales department, the HR department, the production department, the finance department? What are they all? They are a group of people performing similar activities. So you group them together as one particular entity within an organization, and that's what departmentalization is. Nothing but group of activities and employees into departments. So you group activities or people within a department in order to make it a separate function or a separate department within your own organization. That is what you call departmentation. Why do people do it? What is the objective of people departmenting or making individual departments? It is nothing but making it easier for people to understand where they're coming from, helping people to know that they have been grouped together with similar functions, and the objective as well for each department is clearer, and then it provides clarity while operating or while dealing with any of the particular departments. So these are some of the things or some of the reasons why people want to department. So what are the things you do? First thing is you identify. So you identify what are the tasks and duties, so you can group them together. Then you analyze each task, then you describe the functions. So if a particular team, a particular group of people are involved in, say, sales, then you analyze if all the sales are similar, or at least all their actions are quite similar, and then you put them as a sales function. So you describe the functions, then you can define what the sales function is, what they have to do, and what is expected of them. So you describe it, then you give power or you entrust responsibility to the people or to the functional heads, and then you also look at the scope of authority and responsibility. These are two things. So authority and responsibility. When you're given authority, it means you are also responsible for the same. Hence, the authority and responsibility also goes with departmentation. The types, what are the things you could do? I talked about purchase department, HR department, sales department, marketing department. What are all these? That nothing but functions put together, and that is why this is the easiest or the most common thing that you see. You go into organizations, you see there are different functions and they're grouped together as departments. That is called as functions. Then you have products. So say for example, an organization sells toothpaste. It also, or it manufactures toothpaste and sells them. It also manufactures cars and sells them, the same organization. What do? The entity which makes or produces toothpaste will have its own functions within itself. Like they would have a HR, they would have a purchase, sales, and all the different departments that are there in functions within itself. So that is one department, and the other one could be the car manufacturing. That could be a separate department with its own HR and things like that. So products and functions, two different ways. Then you can have territory, region, or geography. So one particular region or 2 or 3 cities within the same region could be a region. They could have branches. You could have area sales manager and things like that. That is based on territory or region. Then you have customers. So you could have internal customers, external customers. You could be at different areas of the supply chain. So based on who you are, you could be a wholesaler, you could be a retailer, or it could even be based on the process. Say for example, in a manufacturing company, you could have something like the galvanizing process, the oxidization process, different types of processes which are available within a given system. So you could also be departmentalized based on the process. Then you have a combination of any of these types. So it could be functions and products together, or functions and territory together, or customers and functions together. So any suitable combination based on the organization. So what are the key factors in departmentation? Now, it all sounds to be good, but for it to be successful, there are certain things that have to be done. Now, why do people departmentalize? Specialization. So if you're in a particular product, or you're in a manufacturing of a given product, or you're in a department of a function like HR or sales, you have specialists in that particular department, and hence their specialization in that particular skill or that particular area improves over a period of time, and they can speak also the same language. Say for example, you have accountants. Now you've realized, and I'm sure you would have realized in any meeting where there are accountants, people do not understand the language they speak, simply because they have their own jargons, they have their own way of understanding, and with financial people, with accountants, they are more comfortable. Same way with HR. So specialization is a process that is that is improved by departmentation. You have control, so you know that this is your region of control. Aid to coordination, balancing of costs as well, so you can balance the costs among the different functions. And prepare for departmentation, preparation for department. You need to prepare as well. You just don't departmentalize an organization without knowing why you're doing it and how you're going to do it as well. So what are the things that we looked at? Organization meaning. We looked at organization meaning as in one, a process, and also a structure of relationships. We looked at both what it is as a process and a relationship. Then you looked at the nature of organization. What you've looked at the informal and formal organization, where you have formal structure. It's a formal organization. You have an informal organization as well. You looked at the principles of an organization. You looked at formal and informal organization here again. You looked at what is span of control. Also, we looked at departmentalization. Looked at the types based on function, based on product, or based on customer as well. And we looked at some of the key factors in making sure, or key factors that determine the effectiveness of departmentation.